In today's slithery tale, we meet a family in Scotland ready to shed their skin. Do enjoy today's scary tale. In the remote reaches of Scotland, there stood an enigmatic structure known as the Rothwell House. It was a dwelling shrouded in whispers and wariness, owned by the Rothwell family. The lineage had dwindled to a mere few: Dr. Frederick Rothwell, his loyal maid, and his daughter, a figure of mystery and speculation. The daughter, whom nobody in the town had ever glimpsed, was said to suffer from an unusual illness. The ailment was a topic of hushed conversations and wild conjecture among the local villagers. Dr. Rothwell, having spent a significant portion of his life in India, returned with his maid, who also originated from those distant lands. She had accompanied the family back to Scotland, primarily to care for the ailing daughter. Rumours swirled around the nature of the daughter's condition. The most persistent of these whispers suggested that she had been bitten by a rare and poisonous snake while in India. The venom from the serpent was rumoured to have wrought havoc on her visage, deforming her face to an extent that it was beyond recognition. An air of eerie mystery perpetually hung over the Rothwell house. Its isolation and the strange tales that surrounded it served to deter visitors. No one dared to cross its threshold, and thus the house stood, a solitary sentinel amidst the wild Scottish landscape, harbouring its secrets and the shadows of the Rothwell family. One cold, wintry evening, with snowflakes swirling in the frigid air, a family was navigating their way through the snowy weather. The roads were treacherous and visibility was low. As they cautiously drove, a sudden figure emerged from the blizzard. A woman ran in front of their car. In a heart-stopping moment, the driver slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. Peering out into the snowy haze, they saw the figure of a woman lying motionless on the road. The woman passenger, with a sense of urgency in her voice, exclaimed, "Quickly, we need to get her to a hospital." Without hesitation, they rushed to assist the stranger, lifting her into their car and heading to the local hospital, which was a mere 20 minutes away. At the hospital, the mysterious woman lay in a bed, surrounded by a team of doctors who examined her with growing curiosity. The first thing they all noticed was her stunning beauty. She seemed to possess a captivating allure, drawing the gaze of everyone in the room. Among them, Dr. Robert Blake felt an overwhelming attraction, something he couldn't quite understand or resist. "I wonder who she is," Dr. Blake murmured to his colleagues, but no one knew. The woman's identity was a complete enigma, as if she had appeared from out of nowhere. Her sudden emergence during a snowstorm and her inexplicable beauty only deepened the mystery that surrounded her. The doctors continued their examination, hoping to unravel the secrets of this enigmatic woman who had so unexpectedly entered their lives. As Dr. Blake turned to leave the hospital room, a faint voice stopped him in his tracks. "Where am I?" the woman inquired, her voice tinged with confusion and vulnerability. Dr. Blake turned back, a reassuring smile on his face. "Oh, hello, I'm Dr. Blake, and you're in the hospital. You've had an accident. There's nothing to worry about," he gently explained. "And who are you?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. The woman paused for a moment before responding, "My name is Amanda Rothwell." Dr. Blake's eyes widened in recognition. "Frederick Rothwell's daughter?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," she replied softly. "I'd better get home quickly. Father will be very worried." "I'll contact your father immediately," Dr. Blake assured her, still processing the unexpected connection to the infamous Rothwell family. Later that day, the hospital was rocked by a grim and shocking discovery. In one of the less frequented corridors, a body was found. The most chilling aspect was the 2 puncture marks on its neck, but even more horrifying was the body's unnatural green hue, indicating the presence of poison. Now we're going to have a short scare break while you ease your nerves. So while you're waiting, don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and stab that subscribe button right now. As doing so, you'll really help the professor spread his shadow of evil. Now, let's get back to the story. The macabre discovery sent ripples of fear and confusion throughout the hospital. The circumstances of the death were mysterious, and the presence of poison suggested something sinister. The hospital staff were left to wonder if this was an isolated incident, or if it heralded something far more ominous, especially with the recent arrival of Amanda Rothwell. Dr. Frederick Rothwell stormed into the hospital lobby, his demeanor one of urgency and authority. He approached the front desk, demanding to see his daughter immediately. The receptionist, attempting to maintain protocol, informed him of a short wait, but Dr. Rothwell was having none of it. He erupted into a loud outburst, insisting on immediate access to his daughter. By his side, his maid from India, Sunita, her expression one of quiet concern amidst the chaos. Just then, Dr. Robert Blake entered the reception area, witnessing the commotion. He quickly intervened, assuring Dr. Rothwell that his daughter, Amanda, was receiving the best possible care. "This is inexcusable. I must see my daughter right now," Dr. Rothwell insisted, his voice tinged with a mix of anger and worry. Dr. Blake, seeking to defuse the situation, led Dr. Rothwell and Sunita to Amanda's room. As they entered, Sunita quietly sat down on the floor and began to play a tune on her banjare, a traditional Indian flute. The melody was haunting and seemed to fill the room with a mystical aura. Amanda, upon hearing the music, initially reacted with shock. She reached out for Dr. Blake, her eyes wide with fear. "No, I can't stand this music, make them stop," she pleaded. But as Sunita continued to play, the music reaching a mesmerizing pitch, Amanda's demeanor changed. Her eyes grew heavy, and she gradually fell into a deep sleep, as if the melody had cast a spell over her. Observing this, Dr. Rothwell declared firmly, "Right, we'll now be taking her home." The atmosphere in the room was charged with an unspoken tension, as if the music had not only lured Amanda to sleep, but also unveiled a hidden layer of the mystery surrounding the Rothwell family. As Dr. Frederick Rothwell and his maid Sunita were about to transfer Amanda from a hospital bed, the calm of the hospital room was interrupted by the arrival of the police. They walked with a sense of purpose, their presence immediately altering the dynamics of the situation. "We're just checking up on a few things," one of the officers began. "There's been an incident here in the hospital. Would any of you know anything about this?" The officer's gaze swept the room, subtly assessing everyone present. Dr. Rothwell, seizing the opportunity, responded quickly. "Even more reason to get Amanda home and safe." His voice carried a hint of urgency, masking a deeper concern. "I'm sorry, sir, but we're going to need to take a few details before we can let you go," the officer stated firmly. It was clear that police were not going to allow any hasty departures, especially given the mysterious circumstances. Yes, but please hurry. I really must get Amanda home," Dr. Rothwell replied, his tone a mix of impatience and worry. After a brief but thorough questioning, in which the officers gathered necessary details, Dr. Rothwell, accompanied by Sunita, finally escorted Amanda to their car. They departed for the Rothwell house, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a sense of unease among the hospital staff. Dr. Robert Blake, who had observed the events unfold, expressed his intention to visit the Rothwell house to check on Amanda's well-being. His concern for Amanda was evident, and he seemed determined to ensure her safety, especially given the strange circumstances surrounding her family and the recent unsettling events at the hospital. Back at the Rothwell house, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Dr. Frederick Rothwell, his voice laced with anger and fear, scolded Amanda fiercely. "We can never leave here. You are not like normal people. What the hell were you thinking?" he exclaimed, his frustration evident. In the corner of the room, Sunita sat, playing her banjore. The haunting notes filling the space with a surreal calm. Amanda, however, was defiant. "I'm tired of being a prisoner here," she declared, her voice trembling with emotion. "I hate this house." As Amanda's anger escalated, an eerie transformation began. Her skin started to take on a strange greenish hue, a disturbing sight that seemed to confirm the rumours of her unusual condition. Seeing this, Dr. Rothwell yelled out, "Sunita!" In response, Sunita played her banjore louder, the melody intensifying. Under the influence of the music, Amanda's agitation subdued, and she gradually drifted into a deep sleep. At that moment, the doorbell rang, breaking the tense silence. It was the police, back to inquire further about the strange events at the hospital. Dr. Rothwell, infuriated by this interruption, hastily dismissed the officers, sending them away without the answers they sought. Returning to Amanda's room, Dr. Rothwell was met with a startling sight. The room was empty. "No!" he screamed in panic. Rushing to the window, he saw Amanda outside, talking to the two police officers. Frantically, he dashed down the stairs and flung open the front door, only to witness a terrifying scene. The two officers lay on the ground, their faces turned an unnatural shade of green, foam bubbling from their mouths, unmistakably poisoned. The scene was one of utter chaos and terror, and as Dr. Rothwell stood there, the grim reality of his family's secret and its deadly consequences were laid bare before him. In a state of utter panic, Dr. Rothwell raced back into the house, his voice filled with dread. "Sunita, she's changing again!" But as he reached the stairs, a chilling sight met his eyes. Sunita lay motionless, succumbing to the same fate as the officers, her skin green and foaming at the mouth, her banshee shattered beside her. Then, from upstairs, a sound that sent shivers down his spine, the hiss of a large snake. "Father!" A voice called out, a mix of accusation and pain. "You did this to me." "Amanda, my darling, we had to seek a cure for your illness. This was the only way," Dr. Rothwell pleaded, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and regret. As he looked up the stairs, he saw an unbelievable transformation. Amanda's body had morphed into that of a serpentine creature, her human head atop a slithering snake's body. "Then let us embrace, Father. Show me how much you really care about me," Amanda said, her voice cold and menacing. Dr. Rothwell knew in that moment that she intended to kill him. "No, Amanda, we can find a cure, I know it," he implored desperately. "The only cure, Father, is to remove your evilness. How could you turn me into this?" Amanda's voice echoed through the house as she began to descend the stairs, her form a terrifying blend of human and serpent. Outside the house, a scream of terror pierced the night, a sound that resonated with the horror unfolding in the walls of the Rothwell house. The secret of the Rothwell family, long shrouded in mystery and rumor, was now horrifically revealed, and its consequences were unfurling in a nightmarish crescendo. The quiet of the Rothwell house was abruptly shattered as more police arrived at the scene, their sirens piercing the stillness of the night. Inside, they discovered a grim tableau. Dr. Frederick Rothwell, Sunita, and the two officers all deceased, victims of poisoning. At the foot of the stairway, they found Amanda Rothwell, unconscious, but alive. Without delay, Amanda was rushed back to the hospital, this time under strict supervision. During questioning, she narrated a harrowing tale of abuse at the hands of her father. She claimed that Dr. Rothwell, in his obsession to keep her by his side, was willing to poison anyone who threatened to separate them. She concluded her story by stating that in a final act of desperation, her father had taken his own life, stabbing himself in the neck with poison sourced from India. The alternative explanation for the events, that of Amanda's transformation and the unnatural occurrences, was too inconceivable for the authorities to even consider. Thus, the Rothwell house, with its dark secrets and haunting past, was left to Amanda, the sole surviving member of the family. Months later, Dr. Robert Blake decided to pay a visit to the Rothwell home, driven by a sense of duty to check on his former patient. Upon entering the house, he noticed a peculiar red glow emanating from one of the back rooms. Curiosity piqued, he asked Amanda about it. "Oh, that's just my reptile incubator. I have some eggs in there. I can't wait for them to hatch and for you to meet them," Amanda replied with an enigmatic smile. The implication of her words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the Rothwell legacy. The mystery of the house and of Amanda herself seemed to deepen, leaving Dr. Blake with a sense of unease as he contemplated the true nature of the events at the Rothwell home and the enigmatic woman who now resided within its walls. And if you're still looking to fulfill your thirst for more horror, don't forget to check out this next video, unless of course you're frozen with fear already.